So the father has fallen. We're one step closer towards understanding the petrification disease and understanding what is going on in this mad world of sweepers and bastards and stalkers and all kinds of fancy words. But once we get off the elevator, we're going to be moving into a very dangerous new environment. There's also an item in this environment that I haven't figured out what it does. It might be something for New Game Plus. It might be something I've just not really got down to searching, but it's a bird bath that is up by the graves of the Black Rabbit Brotherhood. And it might be DLC teasing. It might be something that's going to teleport us later on there. If you know what it is, guys, please feel free to share in the comments. I'd love to read that. But this area is really dangerous. There's bear traps, there's actual bears, and there's dogs and carcasses, and then it leads to a charger who... The charger and the bear are essentially the same enemy. They have the same moveset, they just have different stats. And I've mentioned a lot of parts of Lies of P that I think are really cool. I could mention even more, because this really is a very cool game. But there are some parts of it that just baffle me beyond belief. And again, we come back to the balance. The balance will always be the deciding factor for a lot of people, whether or not you like or you dislike this experience. The balance on the bear, on his charging move, is so busted. I don't get how it can exist in this game. Because there are so many other hitboxes that are so elegant and so beautiful, and if I taught a video game like philosophy and design course, I would use some of these hitboxes as an example of just paramount design, finesse, a masterclass, especially considering that they've not been doing this for years. Because that's where From Software are. From Software now have gone from, you know, a boss in Demon's Souls putting its foot down and you're 10 meters away and you flinch and take 5 damage from some imaginary toenail getting flung off. They've gone from that to some of the stuff in Elden Ring where you can be kissing the edge of the knife and it doesn't touch you. They really have fine-tuned and sharpened themselves to the point of they have some of the best bosses in the business. And I come from a perspective of Devil May Cry, which used to have the best bosses in the business, and now we've got Urizen and Gilgamesh. Madness. So I feel like FromSoft really don't get enough credit for what they've managed to do. And I think the reason they don't do it is because a lot of the people that play those really difficult action games, those guys are a bit frustrated that Souls have taken over and they don't like them, and they wish that their genre had more representation because it's objectively better. And then the other side of it is that this difficulty argument has made it so that these bosses, or a lot of the time, their AI is so fucking irritating that you can't even enjoy the fights because they're too busy jumping and stealing and robbing you and input reading and doing all kinds of things to punish the fact that you've actually played the series before and you're quite good at it. So it gets this situation where you fight a boss and he does like 50 fucking swings and it takes 2 years to happen, and then afterwards you get like an email, and in the email on the attachments there's a picture of your mum as he bangs your family too, and it's just not fun for anybody at that point, and you wonder how we've come so far from the Asylum Demon and his little butt slam. But even though there is a lot of devilish programming ruining what is good design, I still think that those bosses are some of the best in so many ways, and very elegant in spite of the fact they can be inelegant just because there's a particularly petty designer that thought, oh, what if we could hit you with the back of the sword behind the boss? Ooh, that'll be fun, you know? What if we made it so that he does the Nihil spell and it's literally undodgeable? That sounds great, doesn't it, guys? Yeah, we'll put that in the game. But for every moment that there is a fucking stupid brain death of a design, there's also something great that you might not have even noticed. And it's one of the reasons I will always go to bat for From Software and their bosses, because I do love them. And this game has so much of that. So much of that DNA is represented really well here. And then the bear charges at you and he doesn't hit you by a meter and he hits you twice. And it's just like, what? And it's so lame. And I know they won't adjust him, because you only see 2 of those bears in the whole game. And you can avoid both of them. But that doesn't mean they're good, and that doesn't mean they're fun, and that doesn't mean they don't need fixing. Whereas the chargers, 2 of the chargers, you can pretty much avoid them potentially, but they're almost mandatory in how they're presented. And they make the bear more fair, because they combine it with the big fella from later on, but they give him the charge. And when he charges, he bangs off of things all the time. But the bear doesn't. The bear's just like playing driver trying to run the fucking civilians over, and it never happens because they have programming to get out of the way. And it turns it into just this horrendously stupid event. And you'll notice I've killed every single enemy so far in this game that I've come across, but I didn't fight the bear. And I didn't fight him because he's dog shit. And he can be killed, there's plenty of ways to do it. I just don't think he's very well designed. And in this walkthrough, my intention is to share with you what I like, bring you a good example of what you can do to circumvent some of the difficulties, and the most important part is I want to represent everything of how I feel about what Lies of P does well and what it does poorly. Oh, by the way, this person here drops down. The reason I had to pick up my death stain just then is because I was fighting the monster I'm about to fight, and she came up and slapped me from off screen. That's why you shouldn't play video games while listening to music and a podcast, because sometimes you can hear things. But alas, she got me good, and she's in the video. But this is the axe carcass. This enemy, when I first was playing Lies of P, was another one of those elites that I thought was really bad. I thought his design was so over the top, over-tuned, completely unnecessary, and you're going to see here right now with all these automatic jumps when I can't hit him and break him. Like, this is lazy design, this. And I just don't agree with it. But, it must be said, this guy is nothing compared to where we're going, ladies and gentlemen. There are no roads there, and it's filled with misery. So, it's a lovely piece of contrast. Blind playthrough, he was the most overtuned thing in the game. I was like, this guy's just busted. Why did they do this? By the end of the game, he's going to look like the most fair man you ever fought, and you'll be praying for him to come back, which he doesn't. You only see that monster in one other location in the game, and it's not in the walkthrough. But get the key off his corpse, come in here and pick up some of the defensive items. I'm going to use this as an opportunity to talk about defensive items because they're really important. So, P has 4 slots. They look like ring slots, but they're actually defense slots. And it's a really strange choice, this, because one of the most important parts of any Souls game is the fashion. And people love role-playing with different visual elements, and it's one of the most intoxicating aspects of getting into the franchise. This game has outfits and defense items, and the defense items don't populate on the outfits, so you have a very limited number of things to wear, and not that much matching and mixing potential to do with it. And what it leads to is it leads to kind of an underwhelming and restrictive visual representation of your character and build, and I think it's a big area to critique this game of. You can only change your headpiece and your torso. You can't do arms, greaves, legs, cuirass, whatever fancy word you want to use. It just can't be done yet. And I think if they do anything more with this series, that's definitely where they need to go, because Roblox is one of the biggest platforms in the world for video games. The money it generates, the amount of players that engage with it daily is astronomical. Do you know what is the most successful on that platform and what the kids really fucking adore? It's the cosmetic stuff. It's making your avatar look like how you want to look, and it's a status thing for kids. It's the equivalent of cigarettes in prison, only that prison is school and those cigarettes are some random jumper with a brand on it in Adopt Me, and it's fascinating. It's one of the reasons why I used to adore talking to my niece, because she would educate me on all the wonderful things that she wanted in Roblox. But that doesn't change as you get older. People love to manifest in a video game, and they messed it up here. Much like how they messed up the charging carcass, who I really don't like. So, you're going to see an example of why I don't like this monster coming up. He's just going to fucking disobey the rules of the game and try and essentially put his body in my body. Like, look at this. Like, what is this guy doing? And then he's supposed to hit walls, watch. There's a wall. But because the collision here is so fucking spotty, sometimes he doesn't. Sometimes he just runs forever and glitches around like a lunatic, and he disobeys his very logic. Watch this. Like, what the fuck was that? Man gets stuck on random invisible collision. And I just don't think that this is a good look for the game. It's not fun, it's not interesting, it's just shit. And this is one of the only monsters that does this. It's awful. Delete this fucking creature, dude. And it's sad because without that charge, this monster's fine. With that charge, it's just all this weird Tom and Jerry bullshit. But back to the cosmetics, not having the ability to make P look like you want him to look and making it so limited, I think was a problem. The defense items, though, are an even bigger problem. Because you have 4 different criterias of item to equip, to find, to acquire in your journey, and the only thing they govern is defense. I'm a player who ignores defense and avoids it. I take armor off, I don't wear it. I do everything I can to get more attack. If a piece of armor says, take 500 times normal damage but do more damage, I will wear it. That is my playstyle, that is what I want. There is nothing in this game defensively that changes your offense at all. Nothing. No Armor of Thorns, no like increase a strength stat here or this stat there. All of it stands to make you tankier to damage you receive. And status effects and elemental types. That's all it does. An entire aspect of the game is completely off limits to me because I don't engage with it. And that's a problem.